How's it going, everybody? Chad Lee here, and in today's video we're going to be revisiting our old Cloak-and-Dagger FL4K. Now this build was something that we came up with months ago now, and this was like one of the first melee builds that I had ever seen for FL4K, and we were able to one-hit Traunt with it with like the white elephant and the butt plug, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. Then unfortunately melees didn't really work for a long time in 2.0, but now with the new Guardian ranks we have and melee being scaled, this build is actually incredibly viable for endgame content now, and it just makes me so excited. I went through the Guardian takedown on true takedown solo and beat it. Now, was it as easy as some other builds? Probably not, but it is possible, and it's really cool that we can use a melee FL4K build to do endgame content right now. As long as you guys have the right stuff, it is awesome. And actually having the right stuff isn't too bad with this build. You're just gonna need a couple face punchers, and then usually like a Linoge, basically any of these weapons that have 120 melee, and then you can use a butt plug, or if you want to get like really crazy, you can use like Unforgivens and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I like to rock 2 face punchers with this build. One, I like to be a redundant with the melee damage anointment on there. This one I'll use for bosses where I need to do a lot of damage quickly. And then I like to rock a normal ×7 face puncher for mobbing, because this is going to consume less ammo. So one, we're just going to be able to shoot overall more shots, and usually this one's a little overkill for the trash mobs. And then also we have to reload less, and when you go down with this build, it's basically only going to be because you're either missing shots or you're reloading. Like, that's it. Otherwise, you're going to have some crazy survivability with this build. So those are really the only 2 reasons you'd go down with this. And then for just kind of hitting people really hard with an actual melee, I like to use a Linoge with the 390 anointment, because you are going to get that 300 bonus damage if they are above that 90% health. And then if you combine that with a white elephant, you're going to get even crazier damage. And then when the veterans reward machine starts giving mission rewards out and we can get an anointed butt plug, I don't know if that's going to happen, but if it does, the butt plug with the 390 anointment is going to replace this Linoge for sure, because then we're going to get 220% melee damage from behind on an enemy, which is not difficult to do with this build as we're using fadeaway. And then with the 390 anointment, it's still going to get the same effect as the Linoge. So it's going to be even better than this thing, but for right now, the Linoge is going to be our main melee weapon. And then if you guys are trying to melee people below 90% health, just pull out the butt plug and use that. Or like I said, if you want to get really crazy and see stupidly high damage numbers with your white elephants, use an Unforgiven with the 390 anointment. It is insane. Or you can use like a 390 face puncher if you want to one-shot some stuff like bosses or basically anything at that point. And then usually what I'll use if I don't have the butt plug there is a health shock, or whatever weapon. It really doesn't matter. It does not have to be a health shock. With the extra charge of rack attack anointment, this is so I can proc my actual skill and anointments on my shield and grenade and get those bonus elements going as I'm like running around invisible, so I don't actually have to leave fadeaway. But I don't do that all that often. Usually this right here is what I'll rock. I'll leave it up to you guys how you want to play this. If you want to use some of these crazy methods, which like some people see as exploiting, other people are perfectly fine with it. I'm not going to tell you how to play the game. You play it however you like, but this is how I normally run it. And then for our shield, we're going to be using a Brawler Ward. Get a Brawler Ward, obviously, with the 300% melee. They come in different melee damage variants. Just get the ones with 300. They can be any level. See, I'm not even rocking a level 1. A lot of people like to do that. Not necessary with this. I just have like a couple different bonus elements. I have this one and then an Incendiary. Also in the save file, there's a Stinger. I don't really use this one, but I know you can do some cool things with it. But usually I'll do the Brawler Ward for this build. And then for a grenade, I only use the It's Piss grenade for several reasons. 1, we can debuff enemies, and 2, we can break our shield super easily with it and not kill ourselves. So that's why we rock the It's Piss grenade. And then for our class mod, I like to have a friend bot with as much barbaric yop as I can. So in this case, I have 5. And then obviously you're going to want like splash and melee on there, and area of effect. Any of those type of things are going to boost your white elephants and stuff. But I definitely recommend trying to get at least one with 5 barbaric yop if possible. And then now for our artifact, I actually use a knife drain white element. This is where we're going to get that crazy survivability and also that crazy damage using the white elephants, because with the new Groundbreaker Guardian rank, the damage that the white elephants do count as non-melee. So then when you go and you say shoot somebody with the face puncher or melee them, you're going to get that bonus damage from Groundbreaker based off of the damage that the white elephants did. And then white elephants are scaled off of the melee damage that creates them. So it's basically like this endless cycle if you wait and just keep chaining them. So you can ramp up the damage like crazy and basically just one hit anything in the game for the most part. It's pretty darn ridiculous. And then if you guys are doing any sort of special bossing type things, you can put on an elemental projector white elephant, because you can get status effects on yourself by throwing the grenades at your feet if you have bonus elements active, or say something hits you, you can get a status effect and then obviously get that bonus damage there. And you don't really need the survivability for the bossing, but normally you can do everything with just the knife drain white elephant. And then also you can do some cool things with Unleash the Dragon. This is probably the best mobbing artifact for just actually punching things. You can just punch them and then run away, and eventually within like a second or two they're just going to burn to death basically any enemy. It's really cool, but normally your survivability starts taking a huge hit because obviously there's no knife drain part of this. And something else I forgot to mention, for a lot of the one hit stuff that you guys saw at the start, you're going to throw on a Deadeye, because one, you're going to do more damage with the melee because they're above that threshold, and then also the white elephant is going to do more damage because it is also hitting when it's above that threshold. So it's kind of like double dipping, and it works very, very well. So now let's move on over to our skill tree. Now, I personally love this skill tree because it's just so weird. Just a quick little overview. This is our green tree. That's our blue tree. And here's our orange tree. As you can see, we don't have Megavore, and there are not many flak builds out there that don't use Megavore. So I just think that's super, super cool. And then right now, we're going to be using 5 points in Furious Attack. So the face puncher is actually affected by gun damage. Now the face puncher itself cannot stack Furious Attack, but say you switch to the Linoge, shoot, so you stack up Furious Attack to the 10 stacks, and then swap back to your face puncher. While Furious Attack is still active, you are going to get bonus damage on the face puncher, which in turn is going to increase the damage that your white elephant stickies do. So that is something really cool, and that's why we are using Furious Attack here. Then we're just going to do 2 points in Self-Repairing System, just because we had a couple extra points, and we're going to get a little bit more health. Then we're going to do 5 points Eager to Impress, so we can help get our action skill back, since we aren't using Megavore. And then 1 point in All My BFFs to help keep our pet alive. 1 point in Lick of the Wound, so our pet can revive us. 3 points in Turn Tail and Run for the health regen and damage reduction. And then while you're still, same thing goes here with the face puncher. If you're standing still, it is going to get a boost in damage, so I highly recommend getting used to that when you want to deal a lot of damage. And then 3 points in Fast and Furious. Once again, gun damage and the face puncher is going to go well together. Also, we're going to get more movement speed out of this. And then 5 points into Hidden Machine. We're using Fade Away, so we are going to get that bonus damage, which is super helpful to have. And then finally, Power Inside. It's just an overall damage boost, and it actually makes a huge difference with this build. Now, sliding over to our blue skill tree, we're going to do 3 points in Persistence Hunter for the gun damage and also action skill duration. Both of those are huge in this build. And then the other 2 points, you can put them wherever you want just to get down to the next tier. I just did 1 and 1. 5 points into Frenzy for just that damage boost based off of our pet stacking that up. 1 point into He Bites to help our pet stack that up. 2 points into Who Rescued Who to keep our pet alive a little bit better. 2 points into Hive Mind, so we take less damage. And then 5 points into Barbaric Yop. I have the class mod that's boosting it by another 5. So our Great Horn Skag is now going to be doing 25% extra damage and 50% gun damage. So that's a huge bonus to us, and that's why I really like to have 5 Barbaric Yop. And then we're going to do 3 points into Pack Tactics, as it's just an overall flat damage buff. And then 1 point into Shared Spirit, so we take a little bit less damage. And then finally, moving on to our red skill tree, we're going to do 5 points in Interplanetary Stalker, as this is going to give us just a flat damage boost based off of the stacks we have of it. And then finally, their last 3 points are going to go into Head Count, because while the Face Puncher itself cannot proc Head Count, the stickies, if you land them on the crit, can. So in those crit, you can get your cooldown to go a little bit quicker and get it back into Fade Away. Also, you can pull out like the Linoge or the Butt Plug and just start shooting at some headshots, and you'll get Head Count to proc and get Fade Away back even quicker. Now, normally I don't really go over Guardian ranks, but we are kind of using one to our advantage here, and that is the Groundbreaker one at the end of the Enforcer skill tree. This is going to give us a lot of extra damage. So like I was saying earlier, if you shoot somebody and get the white elephant to proc on them, If you wait for it to explode and deal that damage, you're going to get 25% of that damage put into your next melee attack, which also comes out of the face puncher. So that's what I was saying with that endless cycle, and you can just keep ramping up the damage. So we're trying to abuse Groundbreaker as much as possible. And then also in our blue skill tree, I highly recommend you guys turn off Shield Reboot and Emergency Response. This is going to make your Brawler Ward come back quicker if you leave those on. So I highly recommend you turn those off and you get that 300% damage bonus from the Brawler Ward as much as possible. So now we're going to look at our modifiers here. Now this is probably the only flak build that I don't use Speed Demon on, and that is because we need to use more than OK Boomer. Now unfortunately grenade damage does not boost our White Elephant stickies, but what this is going to do is give us insane grenade ammo. We're basically going to have infinite as long as we're killing enemies, and this is going to make it so whenever we need to break our shields with our Ispits grenades, we have the ammo, grenade ammo to do so. Just throw a couple at the ground and then you'll be able to do that 300% increased melee damage. Then for our medium, I have Healy Avenger on. Now the shield boosters sometimes get annoying, but for the most part, it's not really too much of an issue, and this is just an overall super neutral medium modifier, so that's why I just use that one. And then for our hard, I have Chain Gang on. I would like to have Drone Ranger. Now for our very hard, we're going to be using Postmortem. I find this just the easiest one to deal with. Normally, you don't really even notice the skulls, and there's a lot of times that the White Elephants, explosions and stuff will end up killing Postmortem skulls, so it's really not that big of a deal, and I just find it by far the easiest very hard modifier to deal with. I definitely do not recommend Buddy System, as we do need to make the most out of the 3 shots that we have in Fadeaway, and wasting one on a Buddy System is just not the way to go. So that's why I really like Postmortem. And then like always, for the last part of our build, we're going to be looking at our head and skin combo. So for our head, we're using the Deathless one. And then for our skin, we're using Bad Astra from the Guardian Takedown. And then for the colors, we do all black as like the secondary colors for the primary, secondary, and tertiaries. And then on the primary and secondary, we're just going to be using the red. And that's going to give like kind of the stars that red glow, and they're kind of moving around and just look really cool with this build. So yeah guys, that is Cloak-N-Dagger FL4K. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It took a lot of restraint for me to not include more clips at the start of this video. I recorded so many just because I thought so many were so cool with this build. So hopefully you guys have a ton of fun with this. If you guys are on PC, make sure you download the save file and just have some fun with it. If you guys are on console and need help getting the items in this, make sure you guys are in the Discord and hitting up those trading chats. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video. I will catch you guys over on Twitch right around 8 p.m. Central. Also on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we're starting a morning stream from about 9 a.m. to noon Central Time, in addition to our normal nightly streams. So hopefully I'll see you guys at one of those too. But thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya.